you can't have someone go, yes, it's okay to be irreverent about the royal family, but it's not okay to be irreverent about this or that. You think, hang on, that's your taste, not mine.
Hello, I'm Catherine Fairweather, and you're very welcome back to a new series of the third act, brought to you by Orions, the gold standard in later living. First up, I'm delighted to introduce Harry Enfield, the comedian with a genius for creating memorable characters who have seared themselves into the national consciousness and become household names. Characters like Stavros the Greek, Tim Nice But Dim, Loads of Money the Obnoxious Plasterer, and my personal favourite, Kevin the Teen. At just 22, he was writing for Spitting Image and found notoriety with Not the 9 O'Clock News and Saturday Live. I'm thrilled to winkle him out of his happy, premature self-imposed temporary retirement to welcome him to Orions on the threshold, surely, of his third act. This morning, on my way up, I was reminding myself of your various characters. And can you guess the ones I like the most?
No. I can't remember my characters.
Can you know what?
I'm 64 now, I'm too old.
You must remember. I love the codgerish surgeons.
Oh, yes.
The brilliant surgeons. So the 80, 84
yes,
ones.
40, 45.
So just thinking, so we have reached the age where what do you say? Something about, it's no longer Matterhorn, but Peak District. You've graduated.
Oh. Okay.
And where you gone from, you have to climb down from a Montrachet to a Pinot Grigio. Have you come down from the Montrachet to
Certainly
Pinot?
not. Yes, that's simply a phrase. Yes, yes, I think I probably have. I can't really afford Montrachet. Paul Whitehouse always brings me Montrachet.
Does he? That's
always.
Very, very generous of him. You've just done something.
I'm more of a Saint-Aubin man.
Is he? He's still around in your life, isn't he? Because
yes, yeah. He's doing all sorts of things though that don't involve me, like Only Fools and Horses, things like that.
And his fishing program.
Sorry, yes, and his fishing, Dawn Fishing, or last of the Summer Line, I call it, because they're two little old codgers falling over all over the place, and it's very sweet.
You said to me earlier that you can't remember any of those sketches and your characters, because I was going to ask you if there's any particular sketch or character that you love more than the others, or is it like saying you love one of your children more than the others?
Yes, I think it's exactly like you love one of your children more than the others. I don't. There are some, obviously, I find embarrassing now, but some things, I'm proud of them all, really. I think my sort of thing is mischief rather than malice. So you'll get people, saying, oh, you can't do this anymore, you can't do that, or you shouldn't have done that. I think, well, I've never done anything that's been malicious, so I'll always defend what I've done. And I think probably, I love working with Paul, so I love doing things like The Surgeons. Every so often now, there's a sketch that there's always something in the news, and then people meme it or whatever it's called.
It comes up on social media a lot, that sketch, the Surgeon sketch. Yeah.
And every time there's a sort of big women's football match, there's a sketch we did with Catherine Shepherd called Where's the Bloke? We're two old footballers. And she's trying to talk to us at half time about the game. And we just go, where's the bloke? The bloke who talks about football, get him. Like we're not having her because she's a woman. And that comes up quite a lot. And sort of, I think I did a sort of Ian Paisley thing, and that comes up quite a lot when there's anything happens in Northern Ireland.
And the Scousers, does that come up a bit?
I don't know. I mean, I say it comes up because people tell me they've seen it. I'm not on social media.
Oh, you're not?
No, or Instagram or anything.
Where do you go to laugh?
Gosh. Well, I don't laugh. I'm a comedian.
So nothing, it's...
I don't know, there's some very funny things on television.
Are there?
Yes, we were watching something called Daddy Issues last night. with David Morrissey and Amy Liu, the person off the last series of White Lotus. And it's called Daddy Issues. It's absolutely brilliant. They are brilliant in it. There are other characters who come in who they're then in for the day and they're a bit caricature. But he's so funny in it, David Morrissey, and so sympathetic, so skillful, watching him do it. And I've always sort of thought this, that actors are much better at comedy than comedians. All the funniest things here tend to be actors. And he really proves the point in that. He's absolutely perfect. A bit like Mark Rylance in Boeing. This is going back about 10 years.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
It was an old French farce.
And he's funny in it, is he?
Absolutely brilliant. I mean, it was a masterclass in how to play Stan Laurel, really.
And are there any other comic heroes from your youth?
Yes, I mean, Peter Cook.
Of course.
And Monty Python.
Yeah.
They were my real heroes. And Peter, it's sort of one of those wonderful things when I used to watch Not Only But Also, I think they did reruns of the ones they'd found, and they were just so good. And so I loved them, Peter Cook and Dudley Moore. And then they did their Derek and Clive album that was full of swear words.
Yeah.
What was sweet was the cover was white, and my sister's boyfriend gave it to her, and it just said, it was just white. It said Derek and Clive. It was a little label down the bottom saying not to be played in the presence of minors. And one day Sue got back, and below that my father had written, and not to be played on my record player ever, underlined. I just thought, we never talked about it. But he was obviously, he was someone who'd seen Beyond the Fringe and loved all that. And he thought, oh, Peter Cook and Dudley Moore, I wonder, oh, lovely, brilliant. And then got Derek and Clive.
I think if I remember right, it's when the whole thing on the C word.
Yeah, there was a lot of the C word.
Yeah.
And I think
which went on forever, didn't it?
There was quite a lot of things they found up Jane Mansfield's arse. That kind of.
Was that?
70s. That was the mid-70s.
Right.
That was full alcoholism.
Was it?
Oh, yes. I think that was done on an enormous amount of alcohol. But anyway, they were my sort of heroes. They're sort of weird when you sort of meet these people.
Why? Because they're disappointing.
They're your heroes.
And are you disappointed by your heroes?
No, I used to see a lot of Peter because I lived in Primrose Hill and he was in Hampstead. And we used to go for drinks, once a month or something. Or I'd go round to him and then we'd have a drink. Then we'd have to have supper very early because by the end of supper...
He was pissed.
He had to be taken home.
Yeah.
But he was the sweetest, kindest man.
Was he?
Yeah. Really gentle. And I think that thing too of what I was saying about mischief rather than malice. He probably had quite a lot of malice, but he always made it into feel like mischief.
I'm trying to think of a comedian or comic artist who is about malice. I suppose John Cleese was probably a bit malicious, wasn't he?
Yes, I suppose so. I mean, John's pretty mad, I think. Really.
Whereas
I've only worked with him once. I've met him a few times. He was very nice. But anyone who's sort of honed their laugh to one note, which John has, that sort of... That's it. So it's really weird. So you think, well, you've got to be a bit sort of bonkers, haven't you, to be like that.
So what happens when you get a collection of people who are funny in a room together? When you're sitting in at a table with, Peter Cook or Dudley Moore?
No, I've only
you all try to out-funny each other?
The only time, no. I mean, it's appalling that. And I never really do that. But, in fact, the only time I've been in a room full of comedians was at Peter's funeral, I think, which is the first and only time I met Dudley Moore. And there were quite a lot of comedians there. We had lunch together. And... But that can happen, I think, with comedians. But I think stand-up comedy is a very different thing. There's a lot of insecurity in that. I mean, there's always a lot of insecurity with everyone, but I think people are constantly on the lookout for what's happening, who's coming up and who's down.
Yeah.
They care. Of course, when you get to my age, you don't care anymore, really.
When did you
think,
stop
well,
caring?
I've been very lucky.
You have had an incredible career, my God.
I've been lucky, but
you were a rock
I'm not
star.
really bothered now. I didn't feel like a rock star.
Well, you were a rock star. I mean, you still are a rock star. But...
No, I'm not. I'm now a legend.
And now you're a legend. Yeah, now you're a legend. That's right.
But that's happened for about 20 years. I've been a legend now.
You were definitely a rock star in the 80s and 90s, I remember. But comedians were rock stars then, weren't they? In a way that perhaps they're not now. Do you think? Or do you think?
No, it's such a big business now. I never would have been a comedian if it had been as it is now. I never wanted to be one. I literally never thought about, other than I like comedy and I like music, and that's what, as a teenager you like. For a boy, that was our thing, music and comedy, really. And then when I was at university at York, this friend of mine, Brian, who I only met in the third year, Brian Elsey, and he thought I was funny, and he said, "You're going to write a show with me and we're going to take it to Edinburgh." So my parents, who'd been saying, "What are you going to do when you leave university?" I could say, "I'm going to Edinburgh with a play." So that's what we did. So I knew what I was doing until September the 3rd, 1982. I could fob them off. And then we got, so the people saw the show and said, "Do you want to come and write for radio and stuff?" So then, what's he doing? I'm writing for radio.
Yeah. Oh, God, that was quick. So immediately you got taken up.
Well, we got taken up, but we were useless at writing for radio. We never got anything on, I don't think.
Because you were 22 when you started writing for Spitting Image, weren't you?
23, I think.
Oh, 23. I mean, really, very young.
Well, that was sort of through meeting John Lloyd, really. I was 23 and, I don't know, I did a gig somewhere and there was a woman there who said she worked in television. Ooh, television. You're pushy when you're young, aren't you? She worked for Arena. And then I said, "I've got a programme you could do for Arena." It was like a piss taker for Arena, really. She said, "Well, you must meet my boss." So I met her boss, called Anthony Wall. And he said, "Well, and I read him the script, and he laughed all the time. It was really nice that I'd written in my bedroom. And then he said, "Well, I can't do this, but you need to meet John Lloyd, who's a friend of mine." So I met John Lloyd. And he laughed when I read it to him. And he said, "Well, I can't do this because I'm doing a programme called Spitting Image." I said, "Can I do that?" He said, "Well, can you do impressions?" I said, "Well, I'll learn."
Did you know you could do them then? You secretly knew that
Well, I knew that if I learned, I've got an ear.
Can you learn how to be good at doing voices? It's something that's an innate, isn't it, in you?
Probably. So I was a good mimic. And, yeah, but I started doing Spitting Image and I did all the voices of mainly Conservative cabinet ministers, people like Douglas Hurd and Leon Britton. And then I did Stavros and Saturday Live and stuff, which actually was someone from Spitting Image. I'd written a sketch about Prince Philip going to his brother who ran the kebab shop down the road from Buckingham Palace. So there was Prince Philip and his brothers talking like that, And the people who made Saturday Live said, "We want that character. Can you do that?" "Oh, okay, yeah." So that sort of happened. That was the first of my sort of big telly things, and then loads of money came from that. It's all a long time ago, Catherine.
And then Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin was after
You're
that.
Delinquent.
That was about 30. Yeah, that was based on...
You.
Well, it was partly me, but actually partly a friend of mine's daughter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she couldn't really... They couldn't communicate. And it's like this girl of 13 suddenly knew her mother should be dead. She's so old. And that everything she said was absolute rubbish and requires her to roll her eyes, constantly. And the idea of doing anything around the house wasn't going to, all the usual sort of stuff. So I wrote some sketches and showed them to her, and she really laughed. She saw that they were about her.
So with the process of creating a character like that, is it never just you? You're bouncing ideas off other people, or is it really completely your creation? I mean,
it sort of depends, really. But the ones that work best come from us and not from other people.
Yeah,
I think. Although there's a character that Murray Partridge, ex-advertising man. I've never done him live. Jim Broadbent did him for us on a radio thing a bit, but it was someone Murray had met who I just loved the idea. He was about 90 or something. He was very old, in his 80s, and he'd been a surveyor in Bechuanaland or somewhere, And he said, and of course it was there that because at the time there was no sunscreen or anything, and so my ears got cancer and had to be chopped off, boo-hoo. And then, of course, I was going around in sandals all the time, and I had, and then my toes also became carcinogenic. They all had to go, boo-hoo. And then he told a story about his son to Murray. He said, my son had a wonderful motorbike. He had this beautiful, beautiful motorbike. He had the exhaust out of the back. Well, of course, he was going along, and his leg, he wasn't wearing the proper trousers, you see, and his leg went against the... He went straight under a lorry and got decapitated. And it's a lovely character, because it means someone who, don't cry, you're going to prep school, you're 5 years old now, and don't cry like a girl. I know.
And
my wife, you see, and then, of course, she got cancer and died, boo-hoo, and I've been on my own since then.
I love those characters.
Yeah,
no, I know you do. You've got to come back. I mean, do you think you don't want to?
Well, in a way, I need to sort of, I'm not very good at hobbies. This is the third stage, this is called, or something.
Third act, yes, this is
the third act. So I should really have lots of hobbies by now. Like my friend Daniel, who I've just been in the country with, he's got hobbies like mad. And stained glass, he's got a hobbies room, which he calls his workshop. It's not my hobbies room, it's my workshop. Well, he's got lots of toys in there. And he makes stained glass things, and, he's obsessed by it. And I sort of feel that's what you need in the third act. And also my dad said the problem with actors is that they never know when to retire. And they had a friend who was an actor who never got work on telly anymore or anything. But so they were always having to go and see his interminable one-man shows. Because he just couldn't...
Yeah, he wanted the...
He needed the attention, which I suppose is addictive, and I'm not addicted to it. I'm really not. But then you think, well, it's a bit of a shame if you get ideas or you want to do things.
Yeah.
That's a shame, so maybe I would... I might be Prime Minister.
That would be so good. That would be delightful. Can you please? We need you.
Yes. I've got 2 policies so far. Do you hear them?
That's okay. Yeah, one. Yes, number 1.
Well, one, it's a sort of left-wing Farage party, populist. So the first one is you're only allowed to own a maximum of 2 properties in this country. Mm-hmm. And you're only allowed to own any property if you have a UK passport.
Mm-hmm. Great idea.
So then all these French and American and Russian people go, oh, I'm going to expand it. I'm going to have a property portfolio as well as my hedge funds. They're going to have to sell the lot.
Yeah.
And the Chinese and the whatever.
Yeah.
And then our children will
be able to buy in London. Yeah.
So that's my first.
Mm-hmm.
My second policy is the 13 plus. If you pass your 13 plus, you'll be allowed to leave school and get a job, as long as you've got a job to go to, like stacking shelves in Tesco's or things like that.
Yeah.
And then if you want to go back to further education, you can have 4 years stored education for later on.
Mm-hmm.
So then you can do your O-levels, your A-levels, and a degree in 4 years because you want to learn.
Right. You're not wasting everyone's time.
No. And teenagers, especially teenage boys, are impossible to teach, especially, in mixed schools, in comprehensive schools. So you send them away, and when they get bored at the stupid jobs, then they can go,
It's true. It's very true. They start to learn at 16. They catch up with the girls at school at 16, and that's when they start to learn.
If they want to do that, well, they do it later, whenever.
Yeah, okay, well, those are two quite good ideas.
Quite good. I'm going to call myself the Quite Good Party.
Do you think is there anything that shouldn't be the butt of a joke in these self-righteous times?
Oh, that's a loaded question. You just said self-righteous. Well, as I said, I think mischief is okay and malice I don't really like. And you say, aren't there any malicious comics? There are lots of malicious comics out there, but they tend to be lefties who toe the line and they're nasty about everyone. I'm a lefty, but I think they just preach to other lefties who are exactly like them. So it's just a mutual congratulations club. Congratulation club. And I'm not interested in that. I mean, good luck to them, but it doesn't interest me.
I mean, but as a comedian, I suppose you always are setting yourself up to have the eggs thrown at you sometimes.
I really don't care. It's quite funny. Well,
do you really not care? That's amazing if you don't, because that's centred and grounded of you. And where do you get that centred groundedness?
Because I don't really want everyone
to love you.
I mean, that everyone has different tastes in music and different tastes in drama and things. And I think there's something about comedy, which I realised very early on, of when you were doing it, that, if you watch a drama on television and you don't like it, you say, oh, it's a bit boring. But if you watch someone being funny on television and you can see them performing to the audience and they're cocky and they're this and that, and you don't find them funny, you think they're arrogant. That's what people think. They just think, oh, what's so funny about him? And they get cross about it. Or a sitcom that's not funny. People get cross in a way that they don't with drama and things. And because I think they think there's an arrogance in the writer or the performer to think they're funny, whereas actually they just have a different taste in comedy,
Or they might take offence and find that therefore...
Oh, taking offence is different, and I never can be bothered with that, really.
Well, I think it's wise of you not to care about what people who you don't know say about you. If you don't know them and like them, who cares? You only care about the people you do like.
Lots of stuff I don't like, but I don't think they shouldn't be able to make it. Whatever.
Did the Americans found it hard to take at one stage? And did you try and take your comedy stuff to?
I've never been to America, really.
No.
They did buy Kevin and Perry, but they made the mistake of buying it before they test screened it. Then they test screened it, and I think they burnt the cinema down, or or the more really intellectual equivalent of that. They hated it.
Did they?
Yes, and I can imagine that because their kind of teen movie has very pretty teen boys and girls.
Yeah. And
this teen movie had like a 34-year-old man and a woman.
Yeah.
Playing a boy.
Yeah.
And other girls with spots.
Yeah.
Things like that.
And the scatological stuff, would they have got that, do you think?
I don't know. I've never really had any wish to sort of...
crack the market.
I'm not really a market cracker. I just ended up doing it, and then it went well, and then you go, oh, okay, well, I've done that. What now?
So this...
And what now, Catherine?
I don't know. You will.
64 now. I'm in the third stage. All I can think of is coffins.
No, you've got to find a hobby.
I can make my own coffin. How about that?
You're so far too young to be thinking about coffins.
That's not the case.
You could have another child.
No, I can't.
Oh, okay. You could take up gardening.
Got window box. Get an allotment.
Yeah.
I like the idea of gardening. I think everyone should garden.
I think
That's the sort of thing you need to learn at school, really.
yeah, especially now. Our mental health.
And music. Music and gardening.
And art.
How to bring up a child instead of just
Parenting.
going, shut up.
Yeah.
Will you shut up? I'm on my phone.
Yeah.
Mummy's on her phone. Tirade. Mummy is on her phone, right? I got Botox in the morning and I will not be able to go if you don't shut it. That's not how to bring people up, is it?
No. Maybe that's your third act teaching.
No.
Them. How are your kids? Are they
good.
resilient?
They're resilient.
Resilience the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, they're very resilient.
They don't take offence too quickly.
Oh, they take offence.
Are they politicised? Are they?
Yeah, they're very politicised, and they do take offence. And they don't like me making boring old man jokes.
Yeah. Do they think some of your humour is completely not?
They raise their eyes a bit, and they're entitled to do that.
Because words, language, everything changes, doesn't it? I mean, what we find funny changes, or does it change?
Yes. Well, I don't really know. I think there was a very good play recently, brilliant play, called 1536 at the Almeida, and it was about 3 Essex peasant girls in a field. It's all set in the same sort of field by a tree in 1536. And they all just talk like Essex girls, and, they're shagging and they're doing all this stuff. And then one of them comes back, her dad's been in London, and comes back and says, they've arrested the Queen. They go, what? They've arrested the Queen. Anne Boleyn's been arrested. I will let her out tomorrow. And they have that sort of conversation. And then the men in the play become a bit nastier as the trial goes ahead.
Right.
And you mustn't speak like that anymore. They start saying, don't say that anymore. And you mustn't call her the Queen, you must call her the great whore. By the end of the play, these poor girls are really frightened by what's going to happen to them. I won't give it all away. But anyway, that does slightly remind me of, it feels quite topical. That there are things you could say and now you can't say. And it should be why can't you say it? If there's a good reason not to say something, you shouldn't say it. But if it's not malicious, you should be allowed to.
And it's all about context, isn't it? Right?
And also everybody says, well, it offends me. So, yeah, but you might have no sense of humour.
Yeah, exactly.
Or no way to.
Exactly.
I did get into trouble a bit for doing Nelson Mandela. I was the only person who could get a voice as well as that. What's that called? Black voicing now? Anyway, we used to have what was called blacking up, but cultural imperialism has taken the phrase blackface from America, where it is a very different culture. And
Yeah.
But what made me do it was David Harewood, the actor, who'd done an interview saying he had to go and work in America because over here he could just play robbers, muggers, and bad people. Those were the only parts he was ever up for in Britain because of the colour of his skin. So he went to America and then he could play other human beings. Then I thought, well, Nelson Mandela is the only person in the world that is sort of universally loved. And I thought, well, that's funny, the idea of Nelson Mandela, if he's on the BBC, he has to be a mugger and a robber and a drug dealer. Do you like crack? Do you like smack? You will love my smack and crack a party back. You can steal your mother's jewellery to pay for it. And it seemed to me like absurd, so absurd no one would possibly take offence and think, well, why are you doing it? But then the only thing that really offended them wasn't that it was that, but it was me doing it and not someone with a different colour skin. And I get it now. I wouldn't do it now, but it's a shame. Ben Elton does a very funny thing about, my children are now grown up and one thing I definitely know about the future is they will never be able to afford to buy their own home. But one thing they do own is the moral high ground. And then he sort of goes into it and all these phrases. And one of them is the lived experience. Well, in my lived experience teaches me this, which is actually someone's opinion.
Yeah.
My lived experience says this. But you're supposed to go, oh, yes, your lived experience. Yeah. It's so American.
It's such...
Yeah, it's very, very American.
Well, your comedy is very... I think it's very English. So...
It is. I mean, I think, as I say, you know, I'm from a half-Irish background, even though my mother is embarrassed if I say that. And all my friends at school seem to be Irish. And there's a whole big thing of taking the piss out of each other, isn't there?
Irreverence. Silliness is English. Though.
Taking the piss is very Irish. There was never any time that everyone in, you know, my best friend in their family, the Cummings family, they were all taking the mickey out of each other all the time.
Were they?
And I think that's sort of, it was so nice.
Yeah.
It wasn't nasty.
No.
Ever. It wasn't bullying.
No.
It was just nice.
Yeah.
And I think that's sort of what I hope I do.
With your kids?
Or have done.
With your children?
Yeah, and in my career and everything, you know.
And do you think people have lost that knack?
No, I think
reflex?
Not at all, but they've lost their sense of humour about it. You know, they're just uptight about it.
Yeah.
Like,
irreverence is a great thing, isn't it, as well?
Yeah.
You've got to
and
be
if
a bit irreverent.
you know, you can't have someone go, yes, it's okay to be irreverent about the royal family, but it's not okay to be irreverent about, you know, this or that. You think, hang on, that's your taste, not mine.
Yeah, exactly.
Boo-hoo.
Boo-hoo. Okay, well, I'm not going to ask you what you're going to do next because you haven't decided yet. What would you like to do? What would you really love to do in the next 10 years?
I'd like to give my Henry V.
Oh,
my
would you?
darling. No. I don't know what I'd like to do. I'm very happy.
As you are?
Yeah, I'm happy just loafing around a bit.
Yeah, you're very blessed to be.
I'm blessed.
Blessed to be this person.
Yeah, by whoever's out there.
You're very blessed to be so lucky, to be so happy.
I wrote a sketch called Sadly Passed Away for someone.
Did you?
Yeah, for David and Mitchell and Webb, as they're called. And they're doing a new sketch show with other people on Channel 4. So I wrote a sketch and they bought it off me.
Oh, yeah.
At my age. It's someone discussing the plot of John Wick 4 to someone else.
Yeah.
Saying he goes up some stairs and 4 Mexicans come out and he shoots him in the face and he sadly passes away. And he shoots him in the face, he sadly passes away. He slits his throat and sadly he's no longer with us. You know, just that, really. That's the idea, that no one can say died anymore. You're not allowed to.
I know.
I remember when my dad died, Mum, she'd opened cards and she had 2 piles. One was, I'm so sorry to hear Edward died. She'd say, oh, that's nice thing. She'd open another and she'd go, ugh.
Passed.
Yes, passed away. And everyone that was one of those, she'd say, ugh.
I'm afraid if I were dictator, that's what I would.
Would you?
I would make language real again.
There was a Labour councillor who died in Bristol, and another Labour councillor said that he'd transferred. And that was a new one on me. I kind of liked it. Transferred.
Yeah.
Funny old world, isn't it? Well, before I transfer...
Imagine it's your last supper.
Oh, yes. I'm about to be executed.
Yeah, and you're Jesus. And,
okay.
And I'd like to know,
I'm Jesus.
Yeah, imagine you're Jesus. And,
so rude.
And you, would you have your disciples or would you have your hearers around the table with you? What, can you just tell me who you like?
I'd love to have my disciples. I'd love to have 12 lackeys around the table who were agreeing with every word.
And what would you be eating?
Oysters, chips, spaghetti bolognese, followed by spaghetti bolognese, followed by baked beans on toast. I don't know.
And you'd be drinking that Montrachet that your friend Paul has
Yes,
bought
I'd be drinking Montrachet.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of it, really, if I'm to be nailed to a cross the next day.
And would you have music on, or would you...
No, I'm deaf.
Okay, good.
You know, I'm getting very deaf, and I just cannot hear in restaurants if there's music. Yeah. These days, of course, you're allowed to say, I'm deaf, could you turn the music off? And then they're almost infringing your human rights if they don't, aren't they?
Very good.
Because you said I've got a disability.
What other advantages, apart from that, which is quite an advantage, are there to getting older, do you think?
Well, I swim every day in Highgate ponds, and I take my cap off and go old age pensioner, put it back on, and that means I go in free until 9 o'clock, or if I'm late, I pay £2.90, whereas young people have to pay £4.50. That really pleases me.
That's a huge bonus.
Oh, it's a lovely thing.
Yeah. Does it set you up for the day?
Yes.
Does it give you purpose?
Quite often it makes me tired. So sometimes I do all my rushing around in the morning and then I go for a swim.
Right.
Then I have a nap. And if this isn't very interesting, Catherine, which I fear it might not be, it's because we're recording this interview at the time of my nap, which is after lunch.
Do you know what? I think you're an amazing advert for Third Act. I mean, to be as laid back and as sort of embracing not this kind of crazy driven stuff. Or
What's so nice is not being driven, isn't it? Or not feeling you have to be driven. No. I remember once someone saying, oh, success is, 10% talent and 90% drive.
Yeah.
And I thought, yes, that's definitely the case. That's how I felt. And as soon as my drive went and was no longer doing anything, it wasn't that I wasn't funny anymore. I just wasn't particularly interested in doing stuff like that or fighting for it and pitching. And, it's one of the great things about Alan Yentob when he was the head of BBC 1 and 2, which is when I did my sort of big Harry Enfield shows. He was like the curator of an art museum. So he'd say, I want this, and I want, Harry, will you make me a show? So you then produced your show, and he didn't interfere. No one from the BBC interfered. And then you gave them your show. Whereas when it became people saying, would you do us a show, and here are all our thoughts about it, and here are our notes, and what if this, and what is this? It's almost like an art thing to Damien Hirst, would you do a show? And they go, oh, could you make those, I think those spots should be a little longer, and those butterflies should be slightly different shape and in a different thing. They just wouldn't do it, So we were lucky then. We were curated rather than managed. And I think when it started to get like that, I thought, I can't be bothered anymore.
But also you'd had so much success. You were in that very fortunate position of
I was very young.
And you made lots of money.
Made a bit of money. Couldn't do it now. I used to, it'd be very funny. I have sex 19 times a night. Couldn't do it now. Boo-hoo. Boo-hoo. Yes.
Finally, write me your epitaph.
Oh, this was left on my answer phone by Peter Cook, who rang up one night to see if I was around for a drink, and I wasn't. He left a message. And it's at the answer phone of the great Sir Harold Enfield, lauded by his equals, feared by his rivals, and loathed by all and sundry. It's Peter here. I was wondering, and I thought that's what I want on my gravestone.
Oh,
lauded by his equals, feared by his rivals, and loathed by all and sundry. Because that would be a joke that would live as long as my gravestone.
Yeah, that's a brilliant thing.
A Peter joke.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you, Harry. It's been such a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. I hope I die soon. I can make people chuckle in the graveyard.
That brings us to the end of today's conversation. If you've enjoyed it, do explore more episodes of The Third Act, either in your favourite podcast app or by searching for The Third Act podcast on Google. And if there's someone you think would enjoy what you've heard today, please do let them know about the show. This episode was produced by Pete Norton and made possible by Orions, the gold standard in later living. I'm Catherine Fairweather, and you've been listening to The Third Act.